We've been talking turkeys for the last few weeks, and Shags has started to sweat. We decided it was time to get back to some fishing dialogue. So we dialed up our old good buddy, old Misty Mountain Michael from Misty Mountain Guide Service, who's been out fishing. Shags got out fishing. These guys are on the rivers. I've been tearing up the farm pond bluegills. It's going to be a fun fishing conversation. I hope you enjoy it. I'm Brandon Butler.
I'm Nathan Shags McLeod.
And I'm Michael Collins.
Welcome to the Drifted Outdoors podcast. So, do we want to get into it first of Brandon getting fooled by the internet or go right
Damn.
into MDC's proposed permit adjustments?
It's worse
Shame
than
him.
getting fooled by the internet, man. My heart is broken. My heart is broken. I was convinced that Godfather 4 was coming out in the summer of 25, like soon, and that Sylvester Stallone was going to play like a nephew of the Corleones. And man, I was fired up. And Martin Scorsese was supposed to be directing it. And some internet troll figured out exactly what I dream of and tried to make it a thing on the internet. And I went hook, line, and sinker, man. I've been flying high, waiting
You got
for
OK
the
Boomered, man. That was strictly AI. You got fooled by the internet.
Oh man, I gave money to a fake charity once, and now I thought Godfather 4 was a real thing.
As Dan Levitard used to say, did Ballsack Sports get me again when he got fooled by the internet?
Oh, it's great. Well, so thanks for busting my bubble, buddy. I appreciate you letting me know that I was making a fool of myself, telling everybody how excited I was for this movie.
Well, when you said that, like, have you heard? And I mean, I'm kind of in the know when it comes to entertainment with the radio shows. Like, how have I not heard of Godfather 4 being made? And then one quick googly search before we jumped on here and just said, no, it's AI. You just got fooled by AI, which is getting so much better now. Remember just a couple of years ago when they couldn't do fingers and they couldn't do food and it looked super fake? And
Yeah.
now there's I follow some really creepy like horror AI pages on social media that put out some really weird stuff.
Hey, what year do you think the original Terminator was made?
1988?
It's a good guess. Michael?
86.
84.
Oh, yep.
So, in the spirit of the AI discussion, I watched it last week. I don't remember what we were doing, something at work where we were like getting an AI tutorial. And I thought, man, this stuff is creepy. Like it reminded me of the Terminator. So
Skynet, maybe.
I went back and watched it. I just think there's some movies, some books that come along that are just messages sent here for us. Like if you haven't seen the documentary Idiocracy, then you need to watch that one.
Or look out your window because
Yeah.
we're living in it.
Or go to Walmart.
Yeah, just turn on the TV.
Just go to Walmart. And yeah, and man, it's unbelievable where this AI stuff is going. Like, and Terminator tells us what's going to happen. Like, we're going to start having, skin suit robots pretty soon, and they're just going to kill us all. So, yay!
Well, speaking of, there's a really fun horror film on HBO Max right now called Companion, which is very similar to that, where it's an AI robot who you buy or rent, and it's your companion, and how some of them jailbreak, and it's a fun watch.
Can you imagine the first time listener that's like, Driftwood Outdoors, I'm going to check out this outdoors podcast. Sorry, folks, this is how it goes.
We got fooled by Ballsack Sports.
Yeah.
Now I'm talking about a horror movie on HBO
Yeah.
Max.
We get fooled by the internet too. So if you got fooled into thinking this is an outdoors podcast, we're sorry.
Well, let's jump right into the outdoors. MDC, the Missouri Department of Conservation, proposes price adjustments for some permits in 2026. And I mean, I'm glad to see it. I like to see the increase in the non-residents too, since that's what everyone on social media has been crying and screaming about, how everyone from out of state is coming in on the cheap and sluicing all of our animals. What do you guys think?
I'll let Michael go first.
Yeah, I'd love to take this. I speak based on only personal experience. I could go and be nerdy in research, but I really don't have time for that. And what I can be honest with is just what I see out there, and it's a lot of out-of-state tags. Whether it's boat ramps, especially places like the Ozarks, Warsaw, Table Rock, Taneycomo, a lot of out-of-state tags there, which is not a problem. It's not a problem to be out of state. The problem that I see is how much it costs to be in our state fishing from out of state. And then on the hunting side, gosh, if you go to public land access points, especially during rifle season, but even during bow season, and especially in the northern part of the state, it is flooded with out-of-state license plates at every single access. I venture to say you could go to 10 accesses and not find a single Missouri tag at a lot of these places. And it's not a problem that they're coming to our state and hunting. The thing that I have an issue with is, as Missourians, we pay a lot just in our own taxes for these areas first and foremost. So I think it's not to say we get first dibs as much as it is, this is our land, we get the cheap side of it, but it seems like we almost have the expensive side of it right now. So these propositions, I think, are going to thin out a lot of the out-of-state hunters and fishermen, a lot of the ones that really aren't too serious. I don't mind people coming to our state that are serious, but I don't want people coming and just whacking a bunch of juvenile bucks, or keeping a bunch of barely legal fish. That's not really what we're trying to do in our state. And I think with these propositions in mind, we're going to see a increase in game. I think we're going to see a decrease in poaching, especially, and hopefully we see all good things come out of this.
Why are you concerned about people coming and shooting some smaller bucks?
My big concern with shooting the little bucks is when these deer aren't reaching full maturity, their genetics are being stunted. And when you have stunted genetics, a lot of times you have subpar animals that keep breeding and breeding, and then you have a subpar genetic base, is my take on it. I'm no scientist, so I don't want to speak from a scientific background on this. That's not me, but that's just what I notice where I hunt. I hunt both public and private, and I notice the years where a lot of smaller bucks get taken, and then that next year, gosh, we don't see the big bucks we were seeing before. Whereas other years, it's a little bit different. If we're being a lot more selective and we're shooting the right deer and we're doing proper doe management, then we're not having those issues.
So you're more
And
concerned with age than you are with antler size.
I'm not really too concerned with antlers. I'm a meat hunter myself. My buddies will tell you I'm the one that shoots the small deer.
Mm-hmm.
I love going out and popping does. That's what I enjoy. I started picking up a recurve, and I did it just for that. I have no intentions of really trophy hunting this year. I just enjoy the hunt. So it's that antler size is irrelevant to me for the most part. If a good buck walks under me, of course he's getting shot, but I'm more out there for the hunt, not the antlers. So yeah, for me, it really is about just the healthy population overall, and not just we're raising trophies out here.
Well, I'll have to look a little bit more into the genetic stuff. Like I don't really understand that, and that was a good point that you brought up. I thought it was going to be more about, getting deer up to trophy antler size. But yeah, so you're thinking genetically that if I had a kid at 16 and then I had another kid at 32, my age difference would project different genetics into my child based on my age?
I've heard that theory floated around enough times in my face that I'm kind of maybe buying into it a little bit. But
Okay.
again, I'm no scientist. It's all theory to me.
Well, and I don't know about deer, but I know in humans that's fact. The older we get, the worse our sperm gets, and it's not as strong of DNA, and you can have a lot of health issues with your children the older you get.
So you're talking the opposite of what he's talking then. He's saying that the older the deer get, the better the genetics they're delivering to the doe would be to have healthier babies. So I don't know anything. I'm not going to pretend to know
No,
anything
well,
about that.
I just know in humans the
So-
opposite is true. The older we get, the worse.
In a spirit of
Are.
pissing off all of my deer hunting brethren, I'm not in favor of it. Like, at least not to the extreme that some of the tags are being proposed at. For example, do you have it pulled up in front of you, Shags?
Yeah, like the two big ones, of course, are going to be non-resident spring turkey, which right now is $243.50. They're proposing to move that up to $304.50.
What's the national
then
average?
The average, they say, is $255.
So we'll be $50 over the national average. What's
Then
what's the rifled deer right now?
that's where I'm going next. Non-resident rifle deer is at 288, and they want to move that up to 360, with the average being 443.
Oh, I thought they were moving it to 443 and the average was 360. Look at that.
No,
Oh, okay. That was
Okay.
my take on it too.
Yeah, I think I had that one backwards.
no, because in this it shows the permit, the current, the proposed, and then the average of surrounding states. So no, we would still be well under the average surrounding state for out-of-state
All right,
firearms.
so here's where I'm at. I think Missouri's very complicated because of the conservation sales tax. I think the fact that we all pay into the conservation sales tax, and so do non-residents when they come here, that they have skin in the game because of that as well. Clearly, it's not enough to make up for hundreds of dollars in this increase in prices. But that being said, scientifically, we continue to hear that the number of deer in this state continues to increase while we're not killing more deer. MDC is trying to give away doe tags, like take as many as you want, kill as many deer as you want, and people aren't doing it. And it's because of this seismic shift in the reason why people hunt. And, Michael's a little bit younger than us, and he came, spitting this genetics game, which was interesting, but I thought it was going to be more about, letting deer grow up to reach their their maximum potential antler size. And I was listening to James Kroll the other day. I think I talked about this on a podcast already, where he talked about like the worst thing that's happened to deer is the number 170. The fact that there became a measurable score to base your success off of in terms of antler inches, 170 being what it takes to get into Boone and Crockett. And because of that, and because of like advances in technology, especially trail cameras, like when we used to go to the woods, we didn't know what was coming around. We certainly didn't have names for deer. Like there was no waiting for one of your hit list bucks. Like you shot a buck and that's what happened. And because of that, more people harvested deer. Like this antler craze is leading to less deer being harvested. Fewer does.
Because you know what's out there. We get to see all of them.
Yeah.
It's also your phone goes
up.
off, and you're like, I didn't even know I had that buck in this area.
Yeah, nobody did. It was like the phantom showed up, right? So the antler craze is causing people to shoot fewer bucks, fewer deer overall, because you're not going to pop a couple does if you're out there waiting on Godzilla to show up at any minute. So less deer are being harvested. It's caused all of the private land to be leased up. You can't go knock on doors anymore and get permission. Families break up over hunting permission now on private land because ego is so involved with the killing of these big antler bucks. And I mean, you've been to my garage, you see my bucks, like they're not the world's biggest, but I like big bucks too. I like big bucks and I will not lie. And but that being said, I like hunting more than I like big bucks. And that's, why I'm jumping in on the CWD stuff. It's why I'm going to push back a little bit on these permits. I don't like being the cheapest. I don't want to be the Dollar General of deer permits. Like, let's make it better. But there are, and I don't want it to be too complicated, but there are ways to make it fair. Like, I'm not opposed to the reciprocal tags. Like if a non-resident tag in Iowa is $450, then an Iowa person should pay $450 in Missouri or whatever. Like it's not that complicated. Software, AI, our AI friends could figure this shit out quickly. And I am certainly not opposed to making non-residents earn a buck. Like you're welcome to come to our state and hunt. As soon as you telecheck your doe, you'll be eligible to buy a buck permit or something along those lines. But what I don't like is pricing people out. Like I don't want this to become the Lord's deer. I'm already so excited for my nephew Walker to get a little older and start coming to Missouri. And now it's going to be, $400 to shoot a deer. And I don't know. I just think, we're blessed in Missouri to have a great resource. We need to protect it. So I'm not opposed in any way to like putting residents first, of course, but money isn't always the answer. And if we need more deer killed, then let's just force people's hand to kill more deer before they're allowed to get what they really want, which is a shot at some big antlers. Or let's just make it fair on reciprocal tag prices.
I know with some of the managed hunts that MDC puts on, that is a rule where if you want to kill a buck, that's fine. You've got to kill two
That's
does
right.
first, and you have a weekend to do it. But that it gets you in the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know that's true for when they do the Montauk State Park managed hunt. You have to get two does before you can shoot a buck.
Shags, if you're Googling stuff, can you Google Missouri's 2024 total deer harvest? I think it's going to be right around 300,000.
For this year?
2024, yeah.
It was 2,762. Yeah, 276,262.
All right,
deer.
so the math, and you were in on the same meeting when Sumner's explained it to us. Like the equation for balancing a deer herd is essentially killing 25% of the deer per year. You know, I don't know how that breaks down, but does typically have two fawns. If you kill 25% of the population, your deer herd stays level. You kill less, it goes up. You kill more, it goes down. So we have an estimated 1.5 million deer in Missouri. So that means we would have to kill, roughly more than we're killing. I can't do that math in my head right off, but I'm not exactly sure what 25% of 1.5 million would be. It'd be like 350,000 or something.
375.
There you go. So we're 100,000 off of balancing our deer herd. So we're a science-driven conservation state. We lead the way. If you want to raise the prices on big antlered bucks, cool. We got to find a way to get more deer killed too.
Well, and that brings us right into the fun CWD conversation where people are saying they're killing tens of thousands of deer. And what was it, 4,000?
Yeah.
So you even add that total, and we're not even near the 25%. And then you look at the number of deer killed annually just from car accidents, and it's only a couple of hundred less than what MDC culled this past year.
And there are deer dying of natural causes. So you got to equate for all that. So our total,
but it's not 100. It's not 100,000 more.
Reported car collision deaths are around 3,000 a year, and CWD culling was around 4,500 this year, and then natural deaths. Now, if we have an EHD breakout, that can be devastating, especially localized, like in small populations. But it's like you said, it's not 100,000 deer, so we're going to continue to see a population increase, which makes deer more susceptible to disease. We're driving away hunters that want to come here and kill deer. We just got to figure out how to do it equitably. Like, I'm also not opposed to non-residents can't hunt the first week, or something like that. But I want to be able to bring my family to Missouri. I want to be able to bring Jesse Dubell from New Mexico. I want to be able to bring, Paddle Don from Indiana. Think about the deer camps that we had with Eric, Derek, Don. How much money we spend in Eminence, Salem, those little towns.
Echo Bluff, having dinner.
I mean, we would spend a couple $1,000 collectively in a week for sure, and now you're driving those people out of the state. So there's, and I just, it leaves a horrible taste in my mouth to think it's because some dude's ego's not getting filled up enough by not killing his biggest buck ever every year,
Yeah, I mean, there are proposed adjustments for residents, but they're not nearly as dramatic. Let's just use resident firearm will go from 18 to 1950, but the average surrounding states is 57 and some change. So we're still well below the average for surrounding states for being resident deer hunters.
Can we just make it $20? Like 1950?
Well, yeah. Well, the average is 57.13. I think that's worse, 13 cents.
Weren't fishing tags like $12.50 for a while or something like that?
I don't know, but
Or maybe
I
his
believe
trout
so,
tags are
yes.
$7.50 or is
isn't Trump
something
supposed
else
to get
was
away
like
with
that too.
get rid of the penny? Like, can't we just be done with all? Let's just do it in like one fell swoop. No more change. Like everything is even. Dollars only.
Well, that's a lot of math. You start messing with those sales tax and everything.
Everything rounds down to the nearest dollar.
Yeah, because they'll definitely be jumping at that, chomping at the bit.
I'd like to
make
announce
less
my
money.
run for Congress. All sales taxes will drop to the nearest dollar.
Yeah, resident fishing tags will go from $13 to $14. So there you go.
Hey, in all
And,
seriousness, residents, go out and get your lifetime license right now. Like those are going up too. And Shags, I mean,
Yep.
I'm doing it.
look, even if you're old enough to where you might not get the cost benefit of it fully, it's just damn convenient to have it, ain't it? Like, just you guys both. I know
Oh.
you do, Shags. Michael, you got one?
I'm getting it this year after I saw those price increases. That was my straw that broke the
Get
back.
it.
Yeah, how old are you, Michael?
I'm 33 now.
Oh, you're in the.
I'm in the
Yeah,
376.
376 now, going to go up to 407 if
Well,
this
what's it
passes.
with the hunting include? Because ours has hunting.
Oh yeah,
I didn't look into that one. I should have.
It doesn't cover deer and turkey though.
No, you still got to get your tags for that.
Mhm.
And I don't think it covers certain things like migratory bird,
Yep.
does it?
Well, you still got to get
It
a
does.
federal duck stamp.
Definitely that, yeah.
It covers small game hunting, upland hunting, duck
Okay.
hunting,
Trout
trout
stamp.
stamp, fishing.
Cool.
And if you go to the CFM
That's a pretty good
auction,
value.
you might be able to get a deal. Because that's what everybody goes to the auction for when they're supposed to go there to raise money. The CFM garage sale.
Well, I got mine at the Boy Scouts, so still got it for. I think I paid $350 for mine. That was, I mean, years and years ago. So I think I got it for a steal.
Well, we said we were going to talk some fishing. Shags, you went down to the embassy. How was the fishing?
Well, it was a lot of lawn mowing and weed eating and being on top of the roof and cleaning out gutters still full of just stinky
water. Get a second
water
home, they said. It'll be fun, they said.
Yeah. Because none of my gutters were draining because they were all clogged with pine needles and stinky ass water. But semi-paid pro staffer Tim Flanner and I did get to go out for a couple hours, and I mean his custom jerk baits and crankbaits did really well. We went out for an hour and a half Friday night, and I was dead drifting a woolly bugger, and the olive green did pretty good for me. I caught a couple of decent fish. I was joking with your dad today. He was like, "You catching any nice fish?" And I was like, "Well, I mean, for some people, I'm sure they would think they were nice, but not the ones I'm chasing or want to catch." So I haven't caught any monsters or anything to brag about this year. Tim, he caught a couple of really pretty browns. I'll post those up on our Facebook page and Instagram, Driftwood Outdoors. And I forgot the freaking ball. Remember, I did the ball for the gear review that one time. It's supposed to estimate the length and the weight, and I forgot to bring it with me to take the pictures with Tim having the fish. But yeah, he caught two really nice browns in the same hole below Baptist, one going down and then one coming back up, throwing his brown trout pattern on a couple of his crankbaits. But that day I spent jig fishing because we talked about it last podcast. Mike and Mario made those nice rods for us, and I wanted to jig fish with them. And man, those things are a lot of fun. I just happen to be super rusty. Like, if you don't jig fish all the time, like, you forget how subtle that bite can be and how many fish you can miss. And I was joking that if missing fish was an Olympic sport, I was Michael Phelps because I was bringing all the golds home. I could have had a pretty epic day. That was just an okay day because I couldn't freaking set a hook on some of them things. But it was a fun time. I'm gonna go back down Memorial Day weekend. We're recording this the Tuesday before Memorial Day weekend. But looking at the weather, It looks like it's going to be rainy and kind of cold in the low 60s. So not sure how much fishing I'll actually get done. We might just be hanging out in the Polish Embassy or at Big Rock Candy Mountain. We lost you. Did you mute yourself? Brandon, you muted yourself.
I said it must be nice, and this isn't a tall joke. It's a true statement that Shags can actually walk around and clean his gutters without a ladder. Mike, I could get on your shoulders, and we probably couldn't do that, but he can at the embassy.
It'd be tough.
Yeah.
Vertically
I
challenged
can't
over
at
here.
this house. I can't down at the Polish Embassy. I got to climb a ladder and get on that.
Only
that
on the
roof.
backside, definitely up front.
Well, the backside I can reach, but the front side I can't.
I'm so short I can barely reach the roof of my teardrop camper. Okay.
Yeah, I like having you around on fishing trips and other friends your size. People realize, oh, Brandon is a normal sized human.
And then there's us hobbits.
Oh. Well, how about you, Michael? I know you've had a couple of clients out, and you've been posting some real nice smallies. And
yeah.
Last time we were on here, we were kind of talking because you were predominantly like a fly guide, but now you've branched out and are taking people out on traditional spinning gear. And what do you generally throw on those trips?
Yeah, a lot of fly rod stuff still. Probably 30% spinning these days. Gosh, I don't want to give away too many secrets here, but jigs have been working really well lately. Jerk baits, quite nice. I like that. I haven't been running a lot of soft plastics like I used to. I've been kind of switching over to the jigs that I tie. I just love the action of marabou and foxtail and coyote and just other like natural fibers seem to just swim so freaking good. And the profiles you can create with these things off the jig head are just insane. So I've been having a lot of fun with that. I've got a kind of a weird way I've been having people fish them lately, depending on what river we're on. It's been a technique that's been working really well.
You'll have to tell me off air.
Yeah, I'll get into it. On the fly side, you can do this on a spinning rod too, but Creelex style stuff, so just like jigs basically with nothing but flash on them, those are just killing these days. I have a few flies here actually.
Love to see them.
These guys right here, that's antelope hair on the head and the body of the head there. These have been tearing them up pretty good on the Gasconade. A few on the Merrimack as well. And then anything white and about like that, we like these. That's all Arctic fox there. You just kind of swim those through the rocks and boulders.
Exotic. So what stretches of the Gasconade do you do your trips on?
So I run a stretch on the middle Gasconade. It's my favorite part of the river. That's down there by Dixon, Missouri. Phenomenal stretch. Bigger water. We're running a lot heavier sink lines. A lot of times it's bigger flies because of that, which usually equates to bigger fish. That's my main reason I enjoy it, is because if you're going to go anywhere on my program for a big fish, it's going to be that middle section of the Gasconade's your best bet.
All right.
I've been working up into the upper reaches of it though. I've been going up by Adams Ford. I've been going up into the Osage Fork of the Gasconade a little bit more lately. That's been pretty cool. Been on the Merrimack a ton this year though.
Yeah, it seems like all the pictures I see you post, you're generally on the Merrimack.
Yeah. It's the water level's been stabilized for a while now, where the Gasconade just keeps up and down, up and down, up and down, and it's barely fly fishable. The Merrimack's been staying pretty steady, right at its limit sometimes, but we can usually still get flies down. So as long as I can get a fly down, we can catch fish.
What's the stretch you're doing on the Merrimack?
On the Merrimack, I've got 3 different pieces I'm doing, sometimes 4. If the water's really up and good, running good, we can actually float above the trout park, about 10 miles above the trout park there. And then I've got a float where you put in either at the trout park or just above it, and that goes down to Scotts Ford. That's about an 8.5-mile stretch. That's trout and smallmouth through that area, which is a lot of fun. And then there's 2 more sections. You got Scotts Ford to Riverview, which is probably my favorite. And then you got one more from Riverview to Bird's Nest, which is also really good.
Yeah, I haven't done those last 2 you're talking about. Generally, I've always done the trout park area to Scotts Ford.
Yeah, that's always a fun one. A little bit of everything in there.
It really is. You never really know what you're going to hook into. We even caught big drum out there.
Yeah, they move up into there in the summertime, and they get big too.
It's got a little bit of everything. I mean, we've got everything from drum to nice smallmouth to brown and rainbow trout, and
Hmm.
God, what else did we catch out of there? Oh, I caught a freaking alligator gar, or no, what are they? The long nosed,
Probably
not
a long
alligator, but
nose.
long
Yeah.
nosed gar. And God, I think there was crappie. You can catch an
Yeah.
occasional crappie out of there too.
Yep. Yep.
That river will surprise you.
You never, and the Gasconade will kind of do that to you too. We've been catching a weird one out of there the past couple of years called a moon eye. They'll hit a fly, and it's imagine like a herring style fish, kind of almost like a shad, but they get to about like 16, 18 inches long sometimes,
No
and
kidding.
yeah, they fight real hard. I'll have to show you some pictures of them. They just got a big yellow eye on each side of their head.
Yeah, because we've done really good catching like goggle eye on the Gasconade
Oh yeah,
too.
oh
Man,
yeah.
those are funky little fish, aren't they?
They're weird. I only assume they come up out of the Missouri and then they get kind of just locked up in certain areas of the river and hang out.
Huh. What
Good
other
flathead
rivers?
bait.
What other rivers are you guiding on? You got any other like little secret streams for certain clients and stuff like that? Stream X's or
I got a couple, yeah.
okay? I just want
I
to make
won't name them,
no. You
but
don't need to. I mean, I don't even name the current river. It's like one of the most popular rivers we have. I call that the river we no longer speak of.
we'll
But
go with like we got like Creek A where I've been like hammering carp lately. I love carp on the fly. It's my new kind of like nerdy passion. It's like people go to the Driftless or Montana, Colorado, and they get on these like exclusive, beautiful stretches of river, and they're paying all this money, and they're throwing little bitty dry flies at these like 8 and 10 inch trout. And yeah, that's cool and all, but you get into my creeks, we're throwing those little dry flies at like 38 inch carp.
oh, they'll come up. They come suck them off the top of the water.
That's the only way I get them. I every once in a while I get kind of pissy because they'll stop their top water bite, and so I'll throw a little leech on them. But most of the time, I get them off the surface. Yeah.
No kidding. No, that's a
Hmm.
trip I wouldn't mind trying to do with you. I don't think I cast good enough though.
So
You got to
within
get
40, I've seen you cast. You can do it.
man. All right. Well, let's. I think that should be our next trip. I'd love to try to catch one of them carp on a fly with you.
It's within 40 minutes of Jeff City.
Are you guys wanting to
No
start
kidding.
talking
That
bobbers
could
and
be a
bluegill
lot.
fishing at this point, or?
He misses all the good sport fish talk, comes back with carp.
Oh yeah, that would be a good time. I'd like to
It,
go get
it's
one of those
fun.
a shot.
You got to work for them a little bit where we go. You got to like push up into a creek system pretty far sometimes. It's dirty. There's ticks, skeeters, snakes, but it's good
All
carp
right,
water.
I
That's
changed
how
my
you know.
mind. You lost me at ticks
Someday
and
we got to
snakes.
get
Nah,
both you
nah,
guys
nah,
up to
nah,
Beaver
nah.
Island, and you'll see what that carp water looks like. It's crazy, man. Like you fish carp in Lake Michigan in like knee deep, thigh deep, crystal clear water with white sand bottoms, and they're
Ooh, you pulling
yeah,
for them?
pulling. You can pull for them, and then you stake the boat, and then you get
Nice.
out and stalk them on the flats. Kevin Morlock hates it when people
Cool.
call it golden bones or compare it to bone fishing, but I don't know why, because that's exactly what it is. Like you're actually stalking these like 30-pound plus carp on crystal clear flats in the Great Lakes, and it'll change every perception you have about carp fishing if you're one of those silly people that still have negative connotations about carp fishing, because it's amazing.
Now,
They're
what kind
common
of carp
carp.
is he going for?
So,
Okay. See, I'm going for
oh,
mostly
really?
grass carp. Mm-hmm.
I thought that was the
Well,
same thing.
Nope.
so I
They're
thought you
not,
couldn't
huh?
catch a grass.
Nope.
Well, I guess you're using a fly, so it's. I
I'll
believe
prove you
you.
wrong.
I believe you. I just thought that grass carp were plankton eaters, kind of like.
No, no, no. They're
Are they?
opportunistic eaters. They will
Really?
eat anything.
Well, I know a guy that
Yes.
used to sit on top of a ladder to try to shoot him out of his pond because he couldn't catch him on anything. So he just
That's
wanted to
another way
kill
to
them
do it.
because they got so big that they killed all the vegetation in his pond.
Well, I was waiting until you got back because I know Michael just got back from one of your favorite places up there
Oh
fishing the
man, yeah.
driftless.
I had driftless envy when you were up there. You said you had a couple hundred fish days.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm,
I've got some spots up there, man, that you
let's
just get
go,
eggs
man. Like
off.
I'm working on my camper. So my brother was supposed to come this week for my daughter's graduation. He didn't make it, but I was gonna have him like camped out in the driveway in the camper. And I went to like set it all up, and get a camper, they said. It'll be fun, they said, just like Shags' second home. And oh man, I hooked up the water and then I just heard so I went inside and there was like a fountain going off of the broken water heater. So now I'm trying to I bought a new tankless one, which is like $750, trying to figure out how to wire that thing in. I was like, well, he can piss outside, so I'll just get the air conditioner fired up, turn that on. It's like, brrr, sounds like it's gonna pound through the roof of the camper.
Well, he's got video of the whole motor like shaking.
Yeah, so anti shout out to Camping World. I like go in there and buy a $770 or whatever tankless water heater, and I'm like, hey, check this video out. Like, this is what's going on with my air conditioner. And the guy's like, oh yeah. And I go, I'm like, what do I need? And he's like, well, you need to bring it in. It'll be $95 to tell you what's wrong. Like, dude, I'm standing there spending $750, and like you're gonna keep it a secret? Like, just sell me the goddamn parts. I'll fix it myself. So if there's any independent camper stores around Columbia, mid-Missouri, that'll look at a video and tell me what's wrong with my air conditioner so I can buy parts from you to fix it, holler. But it's like, man, campers and boats should stick to tents and canoes.
My little 8x10 is not very high maintenance, Brandon. All you got to do is be able to fit in
I
it.
was trying to take my kids camping and a bunch of people, like, camper vans are the answer. If I could only afford to live in a van by the river, like, that's the problem. Those things are a mint.
Those things are more expensive.
Hey,
did I get any
They're
love
crazy,
today
yeah.
on the Morning Shag page with my Fort Knox comment?
Going in and getting
so Shags' radio show in the morning, they put out questions and I like to answer them. So the question was, if you could be teleported anywhere right now, where would you be teleported to? And I said, well, mine's contingent on a round trip teleportation. Like, you can't just send me there. I got to be able to get home too. But if that's the case, then I want to be teleported inside the vault of Fort Knox and teleported back out. I thought that was a pretty good answer.
Yeah, no, it's not wrong at all. And it goes to show, like, one of your mystery bait bucket questions not only gets asked on the podcast, but if I'm hurting for a conversation piece on the show, I'll use it there too, because that's where it originated. Because I'd said, Michael, you know how it's always a dream of mine to go fish the mountains of Bolivia for those golden dorados and those small streams. You can only get in by helicopter. And my fear of heights and my size and one of those tiny little mountain choppers, I don't know if I have the cojones to actually pull it off. Well, I don't have the money to either. It's like a $30,000 trip. But if I could teleport, then I would be there in a heartbeat and just fish.
You're about the same size as Kobe. That didn't work out so well. No.
Ooh, too soon. Still. So what part of the Driftless were you on? Were you in Wisconsin?
Yeah, so I've done the Wisconsin side in the past, as well as the Iowa side so far. And this time I went back to Wisconsin. I was in the Viroqua areas where I kind of base camp out of, but I go in a lot of different directions from there. I've got a lot of good spots that I've kind of pre-scouted in years past, and sometimes I go and check out new areas, and sometimes I go back to Old Faithful. And,
so I fished out of the Viroqua area as well. Been to the fly shop there in town, and I took my Winston bamboo up there, which is like a 3-weight, and I hooked into, I swear, man, it was over 5 pounds. I'm not saying it was like a world-class brown trout, but it was a really big brown trout. My guess would be in that 7 or 8 pound range. It looked like a carp when I saw it at first. It was a brown. It snapped me off on its first run, but people think small stream, small fish. Not the case at all.
No,
there's big fish
true.
up there. Yeah,
surprisingly big fish, especially for. I'll just name. There's one creek that I was working up into, right, and it's a well-known creek, everybody goes and hits it up, and I actually hit it up on the opening day of their catch and keep season. And I went way, way, way up creek, like to where nobody goes. I mean, we're talking like it's as wide as my like bottom half of my leg in a lot of places. You can barely make a cast into this little ditch, but we're pulling out like 15 and 16-inch browns still. Like they just, there's the food sources in these creeks are just so plentiful. There's so much. They're covered in vegetation all summer long, all winter long. You have the bugs that were living in that vegetation that are growing under these rocks, getting ready for the next season. There's just so much freaking food. And Wisconsin, when it's not a naturally reproducing stream, Wisconsin does an amazing job of stocking these creeks and keeping them stocked. I'll be honest, I've not really found a bad creek up there yet. I've been on bad days up there on a good creek, but I've never hit a bad creek.
What flies are you throwing in those situations?
I don't have one. I meant to grab one. I didn't. But okay, I tied this little sculp. It's a size 10 sculpin jig fly. I actually bend the shank myself at a certain degree, which doesn't matter what really, as long as you get a good bend in it to where it rides hook point up is all you're really looking for. But little pine zonker squirrel tail out the back, and I have a little dubbing brush. I wrap up the shank and finish it off with some hen hackle. They're super easy. They take like 2.5 minutes to tie, and I throw them on like a 4X tippet, which is nice. You can really beat up that tippet with a heavier gauge on there, and we're casting in a lot of brush, rocks, logs, grass, everything. Your leader's going to get chewed up. So, and this water's a little bit not it's clear, but it's a little bit dingy at the same time, so you can get away with thicker line. And yeah, you just poke that thing into little plunge pools, little whirlpools, back eddies. Sometimes they like to sit up in the fast stuff, and I like to high stick it a lot, where you just kind of cast like a rod's length of line out and kind of almost Euro nymph it. But I'm using old school glass fly rods, so Euro nymphing is really not what you'd call that with a 7-foot rod. But you're kind of just helping it along, and you're watching your rod tip or your line tip for bounces and movement, and then you just set on them. And the sculpins are just, they
I thought it would
love
have been bigger than a
sculpins.
size 10.
Yeah, not usually. In years
I mean,
past,
smaller. Excuse me. I thought you had been throwing
oh,
smaller stuff than a size 10.
most people do. I think I'm not the norm up there when I say most people throw nymph rigs, kind of like they do here, bobber, and instead of like a crackleback or an egg down here, it's the pink squirrel up there, which is like a scud with a pink collar, basically. And then they'll throw like a little caddis or like little pupa of sorts under that, and that's kind of the typical rig up in Wisconsin. But I find that if I'm throwing a little jig fly out there with a little sculpiny or like lychee looking thing, they're a lot more likely to eat it. And they're just super aggressive. When you cast it into these pools where it's super clear water and you can see the fish, they're just shark attack hammering this thing. They're just beelining for this fly, nailing it. And if they get hooked, they get hooked. And if not, they hit it and immediately turn off like, oh, don't want that. And then right behind it's the next fish. I mean, you'll get like 5 bites from 5 fish on the same cast sometimes.
And talk a little bit about your gear, because you're really into throwing some of those vintage fly rods.
Oh, I'm dorking out on it, man. I love it. I've been collecting glass rods for a few years now. I got serious about it about 2 years ago. And yeah, depending on who made it, when they made it, I'm into it. Philipson's kind of the brand that I've been really getting into right now. They were in production from the late 40s to 1974, and depending on what era of those you get into, you're getting some like really nice fiberglass. Fenwick's another great brand of old school rods out there to go shopping for on eBay. There's just so many out there. Most of them are pretty dang cheap, and they're fun, right? It's fishing's fun. So to cast an old rod that you can catch a big fish on is just cool.
Yeah, and what reels are you putting on there? Because you're not putting new reels on those old rods either.
No, I try and keep the aesthetic together. So I hope none of my sage reps are listening to this, but I've been really into the old Hardys lately. um, Old like Marquise models. I got some Marquise 7s, Marquise 8-9 multipliers, which is like you're reeling at 1.5 ratio basically. Those are kind of cool for bigger rods. You get into the smaller stuff. I like the Fluger Medalists. Those are neat little lightweight reels. I've been trying to get every single Martin reel ever produced because they're all tuna cans and they're super cheap and easy to get into. So that's been a fun little hunt.
That's what I like about talking fishing with you, man. You can get straight,
Yeah,
just nerd
you should make him like a
out.
T-shirt,
Oh, yeah.
like
That's all
I'm
I do.
nerd and proud, proud nerd.
I need to start something like showing this stuff off, whether it be like writing about it or doing like videos or something. Like I need to figure out some way to be like getting into it and like putting it out there, but I haven't gotten that far. So far, I'm just obsessing over what I purchase and playing with it
Have you got the
afterwards. So
bamboo? Have you got the
Yeah,
bamboo
he's
bug
the
at all?
guy.
I'm trying real hard not to. I can't afford it. Those glass rods are killing me, man.
He's
No,
the
but
first. Go
I'd
ahead.
like to. I was just gonna say I'd like to get into like a couple like older like beater bamboo rods just to like say I have a couple, take them out and play with them every once in a while. But it may be a while before you get into the nice ones. Like I know what one you've
You should
got.
buy it.
That might be a while.
Make a hell of a deal.
I don't know. I'll pull a second mortgage on my house first.
So, can people still buy your flies? You still selling them?
Yeah, I'm doing kind of a word of mouth thing at this point. I've been kind of moving away from selling flies to more the guiding thing at this stage, but I do have my clients that they love my flies and I still put them out there. So if anybody's interested in my flies, definitely go on Instagram or Facebook. I'm periodically posting them, usually more in the winter than I am in the summertime, but I post kind of just new creations and some of this just bulk that I've been building up for my own season, and whatever I don't fish a lot of times I'm selling off or I'm tying them custom for you. So
Yeah, you make some really pretty pieces. It's like you get one of your big streamers and you don't want to fish it because of how pretty it is. I've got a lot of nice fish on some of them big
Yeah, man, I've
streamers
actually
you
got a
tied
couple
for
of
me.
your flies
there's
tucked away
your
in my gun safe. That's how valuable they are to me. Oh, my skunk
woo,
fly to
thank
be
you.
exact.
There's a Oh, those are cool. Those always get a lot of attention at the shows. There's your Dorado fly, Shags.
Well, I'm
Well,
going
that is
Dorado fishing too
badass.
now, Michael. Like, I always kind of wonder how many flies just show up at Shags's house that, maybe I should be getting some of these. And not just from you, from all of our listeners.
I don't know what you're talking about. That's never happened.
I'm pretty sure every time I've given one
Because
of
the
you a
other one
fly, I've
cries
given
like
the
a
other one a fly
baby
too.
when
I
the other one
think.
gets some.
We know who that is.
Yep, the big guy. So,
Uh,
let's talk bluegill fishing, man.
that-
Come on, give me some
yeah.
screen time here. The bluegills are up on their beds. It's the best time of year. Do you have a cricket fly? Crickets,
Yeah, I
man.
use it for carp.
Crickets for bluegill this time of year, and you can't like go to the store and just pick crickets up anywhere. So we should come out here and do some farm pond bluegill fishing with fly rods. For anybody that's
I'll
looking
whip
Gotta go
some
to
to
the
up,
pet
bring them
learn.
store.
out there.
You want
That's a good
crickets? Go
idea.
to the
That's
pet store.
true. That's true. They're
There you go.
expensive though. Pet crickets are more expensive than bait crickets, even though they're the same crickets. Like, um, but in all seriousness, if fly fishing has been something that you've looked at and thought to yourself, man, I'd like to try that someday, but I'm not going out to the Rocky Mountains anytime soon. There's no crystal clear trout water around here. Well, you already heard Michael talking about catching grass carp on a fly. Um, I like to tell people that really any fish that swims can be caught on a fly, or at least fished for on a fly.
Definitely.
And bluegill, when they're on their beds, are one of the most fast action fishing opportunities you can get into. And it's hard to mess it up. They don't spook. So if you're learning to cast, you can slap your line on the water. You can make all kinds of mistakes and still catch a bunch of fish. So there's a huge opportunity right now to learn to fly fish while catching a bunch of fish in small lakes, farm ponds, anywhere that you can get access to. Now, you don't want to either have to have a boat or you don't want to be on a brushy bank. But if you can go to a golf course pond, if you can go to anywhere that it's clear around the banks and you can learn to cast and catching a lot of fish, it's a good time of year to get out and do that.
That was the first fish I caught on a fly rod. Was a bluegill. I took it
Same
out
here.
to a
Smallmouth bass
farm
for
pond in
me.
Boonville.
Yeah. Yours was in Boonville,
Nice.
Shags? Or was yours, Michael?
Yeah.
I don't remember, but it was on a Boy Scout camp out when we were. It was really early on. I was like 10 years old, and we were at some dad who owned some land. We were at their private lake, and
Yeah,
it's somewhere
I was on the
in mid Missouri. But
I was on the
popping bluegill for the mow
Detroit
badge.
River.
Boy Scouts had fly fishing.
Do what?
Boy Scouts had fly fishing.
Yeah, I took the fly fishing merit badge twice because I loved it so much. Got it on my sash too.
I guess I missed that one in Boy Scouts.
Mine was the Detroit River. I got my first fly rod. It was a gift from a woman I was dating that lived in Detroit. We went to Cabela's Down River, they called it, and went straight out to the river and fly fished. I think we were in the town of Huron and caught a smallmouth on a fly rod. It was pretty cool. And I was hooked. Moved to Colorado. First day I went out there, we were up at these little lakes, and I'm out there just kind of slapping my stick around. And there's some guy over there just casting and making it look so simple. And I thought to myself, I'll never be able to cast like that. And it's just kind of like golf, it's the more you do it, the more muscle memory you build, the more repetitive it becomes. And it just takes practice. So if you think you're going to go out to Montana, Colorado, Wyoming, and just fly fish once or twice a year, you're going to be pretty rusty. Get out and do some freshwater, pan fishing, bass fishing. Yeah, bass fishing with poppers right now at night, or right at dawn, right at dusk. Another, yeah, a lot of fun. A lot of
Deadly.
fun.
Do you remember what fly you caught that smallie on?
Probably a woolly bugger. I would be willing to bet it was a woolly bugger. I'm sure I bought them right there at Cabela's. So
yeah, for my bluegill, it was just one of those little mini poppers with the little rubber legs off the side and just kind of popping that on the banks.
The Betts hula poppers.
Yeah, I think so.
Mm-hmm. I've got actually, speaking of Betts, the brand, I've got a fly rod labeled as Betts, but I'm almost positive it's a St. Croix blank.
Yeah, whatever that fly is, that comes like in the plastic container that's got like 6 different colors of them and sizes and everything. So yeah,
it's my dad's favorite fly right there. He doesn't even like my flies. He's like, just give me a pack of those. We're good.
That's funny. So how can I'll put all this stuff in the show notes as well, but how can people reach you to set up a fishing trip? What's your schedule looking like? You filling up pretty fast?
Oh man, I'm pretty full right now up until about mid-June, and then it slows down a little bit for me. This fall's really getting busy too. If you want to book for the fall, you need to call me right away. I've got some availability in September. I've got a few days left in October, but August and July aren't looking too bad if you want to book for them. Those months still. Gets hot in the middle of the day, but gosh, I got to tell you, like Brandon was saying with the poppers, in the early morning hours, the late evening hours, bass on poppers, that's the prime time, and they are hammering them. We throw a lot of mouse patterns too, even when it's daylight. We're throwing a lot of mice up in these rock beds and weed lines and stuff, and they're just explosive eats. They're
broke a mouse off in a bass on my property, so I'm hoping to catch him again, get my fly back. So, oh man,
yeah, you got some big ones in there.
Yeah, man. Poor Lauren. She after losing an estimated 25-pound brown in Dwayne Doty's net twice, she claims to have just had a 10-pounder by the lip in the pond. So, and it's very likely. I mean, I put a 7-pound 1-ouncer in there last September. It was the only bass in a lake with 10 pounds of fatheads, 1,000 bluegill, 1,000 red ear, 6-inch perch. Like, we basically created a triploid bass. There's no sex to have, so all it did was eat. And she was home alone fishing and had it to the dock, and no picture, no nothing, but swears it's every bit of 10 pounds.
Brutal.
And all I could think about was how many yellow perch it's probably eaten. Yeah. Damn.
That's what I was wondering.
It might be the best tasting bass of all time. It might taste just like yellow perch.
Man, If he's eating those perch, I don't blame him. I had a Friday night fish fry up in the Coon Valley up in Wisconsin a couple weeks ago at a local bar there, and they had perch on special, and man,
Oh,
that's
it's my
some of the best
favorite.
fried fish
Like,
there
and
is.
don't even get me started. When you dunk it in butter, I like anything that's a spoon for butter. Like,
Oh yeah.
dunk it in butter, warm butter, like so lightly breaded, just kind of a little coating, a little dusting, and yeah, if
So you're taking your fried fish and then
yeah,
dumping it in
yeah,
warm butter.
that's so
Wow,
Don't
Wisconsin.
question it. Just do it.
I'm sure you're. I'm sure your heart
0%
loves
calcium,
hearing
baby.
that.
0%. We should get sponsored by a butter company. Like I could show them my heart scan. Like yeah, butter can't phase me.
Oh, that's funny. So where's your next trip you got lined up?
You talking to me?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Gosh, I have to think about that. I got a few. I got I've got a trip coming up in June where I'm going to be headed down to the North Fork of the White. A buddy of mine and myself are going to go hit some stripers up in the river up that way. We're going to throw big flies for those.
That'd be another fun one.
Yeah. That's another one I need to get you guys down on one of these days. It's a bit of a drive. It's 3 hours 40 something minutes for me, but gosh dang. Again, when you get into these like almost 40-inch fish on a fly rod, it's just something different. So going to be doing that a few times this summer actually, and then in September I'm headed back up north, going to the Driftless again. We're going to do the Iowa side this time. God,
When?
I'm just going to do the highlights in
Yeah, we should go,
September.
Shags. If
I'll
we
give
can
you the
go for the
dates.
weekend, it's an easy drive up there, like 6 hours, 7 hours from my house. Pull.
I'll be up in the Dorchester area, so it's about like 6.5 hours from
Yeah, we
Jeff
can
City,
pull
so it's
my
even
camper
shorter
with
for you
its fancy
guys.
new tankless water heater up there, and hopefully a fixed air conditioner.
There you
Yeah.
go.
You just hear it just go.
Would you rather be
As the
awake or
AC's
cold?
running.
Or awake and cold or asleep and hot? Speaking of sleeping, man, I don't have it out here to do my gear review, but I'm a week into the old Darth Vader mask. I've got plenty of reviews on it.
Ooh,
Basically summing it up by I hate it. And they said though it would take a while to like get comfortable with it. So Michael, have you ever you've probably never used a sleep apnea mask, right? Does
no,
he
my
love it?
father-in-law's got
Does he
one, but
love it?
I've never tried it or anything. Um,
Yeah. See,
I
like
haven't heard a
some
review
of the
on it
people that
actually,
I
so
know
I'll
that
have to
have them,
ask him.
like I was on a plane with Rudy Raceline. We were coming back from I think it was DC, and he left his CPAP machine, and he damn near turned the private plane around to get it. Like he was freaking out
Dang.
when he didn't have it. And so they have the different ones that are like go into your nose and then kind of just suction onto your nose. But the girl asked me if I snored, and I was like, that's kind of a dumb question. Like, why would I be here if I didn't snore? But I guess there are people with sleep apnea that don't snore. And so she fitted me with the good old fashioned, like full frontal nose and mouth mask. And it's pretty cool when it's pushing air in. Like you don't notice it as much. Like when you breathe in, it's almost like an exaggerated breath of cold air because it comes through a water filter. So but you're also breathing out against that inflow of air. So it takes like an extra effort to like exhale, and I think that's where it does its work. I'm not sure, but um it's just an uncomfortable feeling, man, to have that damn thing like wrapped around your head and on your face, and you try to roll over on your stomach and your face smashes it onto the pillow. I've ripped it off every night but one. But I don't snore. I don't snore.
You were so
Well,
excited to get that dang
I'm
thing.
I'm in this giving part of my life, Shags, and I decided I would try to, give Lauren the opportunity to sleep. and and it's it just sucks. It sucks all the way around. So
Yeah,
See,
I don't know if we can even describe what you do as snore because it is loud.
I'd be so afraid of like having one of those with people like trying to mess with me with it. Like it would take nothing for somebody to like fart in
Well,
their
I
carboy
already
sleep. I'm
know
just
that like
saying.
a real smart youngster could turn it into one hell of a bong.
There you go.
Oh, that's too funny. Well, that kind of moves us right into a mystery bait bucket question. We're getting into about an hour here, so try to start wrapping this up. This one comes from Jason Sharp, and remember, if you got a question, I mean, it can be silly. This one's a little ridiculous, but use email info@driftlessoutdoors.com, or you can send us a message on Instagram or Facebook, Driftwood Outdoors, or leave a comment on the YouTube, Driftwood Outdoors TV. So Jason wants to know, Brandon, you talk about this all the time already, so I already know what your answer is going to be. But what was your first
Yeah, I worked
job?
at Lakeshore Floors. I have my first paycheck in here framed. I was 6 years old in 1985. Yeah, I
Family
started off
business, baby.
sweeping floors, picking up scraps. I got it all the way up to demolition. It was just so funny, man, because my dad's here right now, and I went to Frank Oberle's to get some more walnut lumber. My dad's gonna build the beam across the 26-foot expanse of my vaulted ceiling to match the walnut bookshelves that he made me out of the same wood from Frank Oberle, which then matches the table that I bought at the CFM and then the coffee table that I made, all Frank Oberle walnut. And my dad was like, "Come here, I want to show you my drawings." And I said, "No, you don't have to show me. I was already out here laughing about it because I was going to screw like boards into the ceiling and then screw the sideboards into those and then squeeze the bottom into it. And it would have worked, man. But he's out here with like multi-directional rulers. And I told Lauren, I go, look, Russell Crowe from A Beautiful Mind was out here designing, we're going to make this beam. And so my experience working for my father and our family business is that like defense was the right side of the ball for me to play in football, and demolition is definitely my forte in construction. Like I am just not a detail guy. So all those years of tearing down walls, tearing out tile, breaking up concrete, sweeping, shoveling, it must have set me on the path because to this day I'm better at breaking it than fixing it.
That was funny. Oh, I mean, my first job, I mean, other than my dad making me mow old women's yards and coming home going, "Hey, you're bucking hay tomorrow." Like, what do you mean? I had plans. Like, well, you don't now. You're going to be up at 5 a.m. and you're going to be throwing hay bales because I told Kurt that you'd be there and meet him. Like my first actual paycheck, real job was litter patrol. I was the guy on the side of the
Oh, we call that
highways
community
picking up
service where I
trash.
grew up,
And
Shags.
no, that's what was so great about it. Is my poor mom, like everyone would see me on the side of the road with the yellow vest and everything, with my little thing just picking up trash, my little grabber. And they were like, "What did Nathan do this time?" They all thought I got in trouble. And my poor mom was like, "It's a real job. He got a real job." That was the first year. And then the second year, I went back my senior year, and I was like in charge of the whole crew. I was management, baby. But it was so funny. They all thought I had done something again, got in trouble with the law, and I was out
So
there
we
doing
hear you
community
saying
service on the side of
again.
the
So you got
highways.
management so quickly because you did have experience prior to the real job.
I did from the first year. Yeah, my junior year, I was just one of the workers. I came back my senior, it would have been the summer before my junior year, and then the summer before my senior year in high school, I
So you
came back
never
and
did community
I
service
was
pickup?
manager. No, not on the side of the highway. I had to do other community service. I had
I
to
got to
wash some
do some
cop
pickup
cars and stuff
once.
like that. I enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun. In Oregon, you get 5 cent return on cans. So you had one bag that was trash, one bag that was cans, and you spent the last 30 minutes of your day down in the can machine, putting it in there,
When
and
I
that
was
was
in
like
college, we had a guy
extra
that lived in
money.
our garage called the Can Man. He had one of those tricycle bikes with a trailer. All he did was go around and collect cans out of the garbage. And we caught him living in our garage one time, and then we just told him he could stay there. So he lived like he parked his bike in our garage and lived in it for a year.
Oh,
That's
funny.
wild.
All right, Michael, what was your first job?
At the age of 13, I started refereeing soccer, and I did that like fairly seriously all the way till like the end of high school. And then during high school, I also worked at Dairy Queen when I was like 16 for like a few
You worked
months.
at the
So,
Dairy Queen?
Oh,
well,
nice.
Do you remember when they used to
yeah,
make
and Just City
milkshakes
there.
where they would take the ice cream and squirt it in, like after they made the milkshake, they'd leave a little bit of room and then they'd top it off with like some vanilla ice cream, almost look like a little cone in the top of your shake. Mm.
No, no, but they didn't trust me around the ice cream machine
So that's
because
how
I
they
was
made
like
shakes.
16. And apparently that's like the holy grail.
That's how they
So I
made
was on
shakes when
like
I
the
was a
grill and
kid.
stuff.
Like you would get a milkshake, but like you had a
Okay.
little baby cone size thing of ice cream on the top. And I don't know when that went away, but I trained up a few people in Fayette on how to do it. And then they just closed the Dairy Queen again. So it's like all that effort is now a
Ah,
lost art.
dang.
All right, what's our final
Dude, I
thoughts,
want
the
to go to
final
the
cap for the
Driftless
pod?
with Misty Mountain Michael. Take some campers up there and
Let's
just
do
do
it.
some wade fishing. No, you don't do any floating up there, right? It's all wade.
If we go to the Iowa
Okay.
side, somebody should bring a
We'll
raft.
go to the Wisconsin side. We can go to Doug Dern's house and fish some private water too. That's pretty cool. You know, it's
That'd be
cool,
cool.
Shags. You could step across half the streams.
Oh no, I saw those little streams and I was like, man, those things are tiny little creeks. You guys travel all
It's
the way up
fun.
there
There,
for
I
those
mean, what's
tiny
fun
little
about it
streams?
is, well,
It
the way we were kind of
they're
talking about
special.
how like bluegills can teach you to like help you learn to cast. I think it's a really good tip that these smaller streams will teach you to read water because everything is so shrunk down. Like it's more
Hmm.
prominent. Like a riffle is more prominent, a deep hole is more prominent. And if you can look at like these small waters and learn how to break those down, you can apply that knowledge to a bigger water. It all kind of starts making sense. So you when you it'll be pretty pronounced where a fish should be in these smaller streams, which is neat.
I'll I'll also add that these creeks really teach you how to move through not just water but the woods in general really well. The trout, just like many other fish, have a lateral line and they pick up vibrations and other commotion through their lateral line. So when you're sneaking up on these fish to make these casts in these really small little creeks and stuff, you're kind of having to get up on them a little bit. So I'm not above like low crawling into spots sometimes, or like, at least getting up on your knees and kind of shuffling up into a little spot where you can hide behind a big chunk of grass and make some casts and stuff. It really teaches you the meaning of like what you need to do to be stealthy.
I am too big to be crawling around on my knees out there.
Get them
But I'll
stinging
still make the
nettles
trip just
again.
to hang out. Oh yeah.
Yeah, if you go in September with me, there's no crawling. We're wearing like armor plated pants and hoping for the best. And
Well,
even that's not going to stop it. Those nettles are everywhere.
how can people reach you to get in on these trips?
Sure. So give me a call or text on my phone number. That's 573-823-9057. I'm available anytime. You can email me at mmgsozarks@gmail.com. I'm very active on Facebook and Instagram, so if you message me or follow me on either ones, that'd be awesome.
All right, and I'll put all that stuff in the show notes as well. Michael, we need to get out and do some fishing together. I always have a good time hanging out with you. Let's chase some carp, some stripers, get back down onto the river we no longer speak of, and do some trout fishing as well. Appreciate you hopping on here with us, buddy.
Of course. Thank you guys for having me. This is awesome. I love doing it.
Gear review coming up next. End of the podcast, the beginning of a gear review.
Well,
Brendan,
Shags, I know
what are
you
you
stress
reviewing for
out
us today?
sometimes wondering if people take your gear reviews to heart and actually go out and get the things that you're sitting here pouring your heart into and telling everyone. I just want you to know that it works, buddy. Like I went out and got a kettlebell after your kettlebell review. So I'm trying to get my arms built up. You know, you and Jesse are looking like old beefcakes over
Heck
there, and
yeah.
I just I'm getting my casting arm worked up a little bit with my kettlebell. So after you shamed me, I decided I'd get a kettlebell too. So your gear review worked. The kettlebell companies all should thank us. Oh,
Is that a
man,
30
which one
L
is this
beer?
one? No, I think it's 100. I think it's 100. I
1
don't know, dude.
million.
It's a set. This one doesn't have a number on it. That kind of sucks. I guess I bought the wrong kettlebell. I'll have to go put it on a. I have to go put it on a scale.
It's whatever you want
I'm
it to
pretty
be.
sure it's
Yeah.
maybe 125.
Well, for mine, I'm going old school. You can't go wrong with an old timer.
There you go.
That little bright. There it is. Man, stainless steel. It's got the liner lock, the pocket clip, the ironwood handle. If you need a pocket knife, you can't go wrong with an old timer. I like them. I like the way they look. That old school feel.
What'd you pick
old
that
school
one up
vibe.
for?
I got a pocket. I got a pocket knife. I know. Do you
I
ever
didn't
need an
know if maybe
excuse to
that
buy
was
a
one of
pocket
your
knife?
new brand ambassador things, or
No, I mean, I was out there. It was during the grand opening of the American Outdoor Brands factory outlet that there was a gift bag, and this had it in there. And
no, old timers are
can't
good
go
knives,
wrong with
man.
the old timer.
All right, we'll see you down the trail.
All right, that's all I got.